Hello everyone. I've recently gotten a lot of requests for some tutorials on how to fly jets. These will mostly be for aspiring dogfighters, but in some later installments will include more advanced techniques. In this episode we will go over the basics such as setups, key bindings, and of course, speed control. So, the first part I want to talk about is the setup in the jet. For the first unlock, you'll want air radar. This is the most crucial of all the unlocks as it will allow you to maintain awareness of where the enemy air vehicles are. This will be invaluable in dogfighting. Your next unlock is your countermeasure. For dogfighting, ECM is an absolute must. This is because it can take you off the enemy's radar for a short period of time, giving you the opportunity to maneuver without his knowledge. For public matches, this all comes down to personal preference. Flares are more reliable, but ECMs will always work if you use them right. Just make sure to pop them before he has launched the missile. The last unlock you will need to look into is your secondary weapon. Again, this choice only matters in public games, and it all comes down to personal preference. I prefer to use rocket pods because mini tankers use smoke, which makes guided missiles useless. A guided missile can, however, be used to help spot infantry as it provides a good zoom. You can then clean these infantry up with the main cannon. Heat seekers are only useful when first learning. Once you're able to aim with the main gun, they pretty much become obsolete. Also note that at 8600 points in the jet, you unlock below radar. This unlock is always equipped once unlocked, so don't worry about equipping it. With this unlocked, air-to-air missiles cannot lock onto you when you're 20 meters or closer to the ground. Remember, this only works from choppers and from jets, not missiles from the AA or missiles from Stingers. The other thing this unlock does is it hides you from the enemy's air radar, which can be very useful for some trickery during dogfights. Next we'll focus on settings for the jet. The first thing I want to show you is a quick tip for video settings. You'll see this red arrow pointing towards mesh quality. You want to make sure that's on ultra. It won't help you during dogfights. However, during public matches, it'll help you spot those infantry running on the ground. Next we'll go into key bindings. Now, I'm a controller pilot, so I don't use these, but these are what I did use when I did try some keyboard and mouse, and they worked really well. And I know a lot of keyboard and mouse pilots who use these settings. You can pause it and look at these, write it down, take a picture of it, do whatever you want. Set it as your settings, or you can change yours around these, but these are the basic idea of what you want. You want pitch up. You want it bound to something like space. It doesn't have to be space, it just has to be a key. Because when you have it on your mouse, you keep pulling back and you run out of room, and you don't want that. So the pitch up thing I told you about is the most important part of keybinds. The one other thing I'd like to tell you about is that I bound T to enter exit vehicle. This way I don't accidentally bump up against the exit vehicle because it's usually E. But that could help some. So, next we're going to go over speed control, which is one of the most important aspects of dogfighting. The first thing you'll want to know is that the optimal speed for the jet is around 313. You want to keep it between 310 and 315. As you can see here, I have a clock. We use this clock as an analogy to show where you should afterburn and where you should brake. Now this clock here is meant to symbolize a vertical loop going in the clockwise direction. As you can see, it's color-coded. The green means you're afterburning, the yellow means you're doing nothing with speed, and the red means you're braking. So the way you want to use this is just to envision your loops as this clock, and this is how you can kind of understand when to afterburn and when to brake. Now this isn't precise, but I'm going to show you more precise stuff in the videos upcoming. Alright, so what I'll show you here is some video of me doing some loops with good speed control, vertical loops, so very basic. I'll afterburn once my tail passes the horizon in the background, and I'll do that until my jet is horizontal at the top of the loop. For braking, I wait until my nose passes the horizon in the background, and I do it until my jet is horizontal at the bottom. The next thing I'm going to show you is my gun shooting when I press afterburner. So I bound the shooting key to my afterburner key. This way you can see where I afterburn. So every time I'm shooting, that's me afterburning. See how it's about when my tail passes the horizon until my jet is horizontal again at the top. Alright, so the next part I'm going to do is where I'm going to have the shooting button bound to the braking button, so this way you can see where I brake. That was some bad speed control right there, but it's going to get into a good loop. There you go. See those brakes on the way down. One thing I do is I don't brake the whole time. You'll see when the camera does that little flip there. See if I can get one in third person. Does that flip right there. I take off the brake for just a split second, and then I brake again until you see the bullet stop firing. And remember, during speed control, it's never a bad thing to check your cockpit. In your cockpit, you can see your speed, as I'll show you in this picture coming up. Up in the top left, you have a little box with a 0 in it right now on my screen. That's where your speed is. You want that to be at 313, or at least very close to that. On the right is your altitude, which you can use to look at your below radar status. Remember, that's below 20 meters. And way over to the right, you can see your ECM status. Alright, so there are a couple more things I wanted to hit on that won't have an accompanying video, but just things you need to know. So when it comes to the speed control, this was just basic vertical loops. You'll have to adjust it when you do diagonals, any sort of switches. Horizontal loops are obviously much different. And also, some of these don't completely apply for every person because different people press the afterburner for different lengths of time and they brake more or less. So a lot of it comes down to practice, which will just have to be you practicing either dogfighting or in an empty server trying to keep your speed good. Do this with different switches, different moves, and it'll help out a lot. Thank you all for watching. That's all for part 1. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and stay tuned for part 2. Have a good one.